Okay, well, I'm not going to mention that, I'm not going to say that, or put in my short closing that I'm the last thing that stands between you and a walk, and I'm also not going to mention cloud. So there you go. First of all, I am going to make a short, small announcement, actually, which is not press release yet. It will be soon. But yesterday we did actually sign, for us, quite important contract with Schrödinger. You may know that Syrah, which is the SAR visualization tool that Schrödinger picked up from Synaptic Science, uses and totally depends on JChem-Base and JCluster in its backend. And they've been doing that for a number of years, but we have quite significantly signed a new agreement with Schrödinger, which is a 5-year agreement to continue to keep ChemAxon within Syrah, and also to extend the use of Syrah beyond of just its current application field into other Schrödinger application areas. And why it's significant is that it's a very clear demonstration of confidence in ChemAxon, because it means that Schrödinger is really relying for a long-term period on the back end that ChemAxon provides, and all the stuff that you've been seeing and all the stuff that you've been using. So we found that quite significant. They're not the only people who use us. You've seen the partner presentations this morning. And I think, one of the other companies which has for a very long time been building their applications exclusively on ChemAxon is Patcore. And Patcore has actually, you've seen Crace board, but they've got an entire application layer which includes ELN and registration and bioassay data management and so forth. And that's 100% built on the ChemAxon platform. And they've taken the Japanese market by storm. We've got a much higher penetration in Japan than we have in Europe and the US, in point of fact. And a disproportionate amount of our revenue is actually coming from the Japanese market as a result of it. What I wanted to really stress with that, there are other people who are very long-term friends of ours. I pointed out Mike DiPolito as well from Deltasoft. There are also people like Core Informatics and the LIMS that's up until now been totally dependent on ChemAxon. They have started to talk to OpenEye in order to give their customers a bit more choice. And then we've got other people like IDBS who use some of our components, so all the people that you've seen today, really. So the point about that I just wanted to make is that ChemAxon is very much, a bit harking off Andrea's comments as well, ChemAxon has really become, if you want a sort of open platform that you can work with, integrate with, it's almost the only real solution for a good chemistry solution. And we're quite proud of that. And it does fundamentally also underpin, Andrea also mentioned roadmaps. It's true, we're not a big high strategy roadmap type company. We've been a kind of see what the need is, responding very closely in this kind of environments to what's going and sort of following a little bit. We have got new ideas of our own. We haven't talked very much about some of our new product strategy that is in development. There's some very interesting stuff going on in the background. But we are a long-term player, and we're a very solid long-term player that listens and that works forward continuously to develop the toolkit, to develop new things. So I just wanted to make that point and make that announcement as well, because I think it's quite significant. I wouldn't be surprised if you see similar other announcements. Just the other one that we recently announced with was Certara, who've integrated D360 with our cartridge as well, which is quite a significant move. That's also interesting because people like D360, Certara have D360, and that could potentially compete with some of the stuff that we're doing here that you've seen. So we don't see a problem in the way we position the company to build our own end user applications. And as this UGM has shown, we're very much going into the area of end user applications. For us, that's not a problem if somebody else has an end user application that uses our backend as well. That might be a problem for them, but it's not a problem for us. Right, so that's that one. The other thing that I think we've sort of talked a lot about is the development of ChemAxon. This whole UGM has been about the so-called V6, and it's really, I think, shown that we are trying to get much closer to the scientists than we have in the past. There will be a learning curve for us in that. Somebody gave me a fantastic piece of advice earlier on today, actually. He said, when you put things to the chemists, it has to be right first time, because they'll only give you one shot at it, which is much different than IT managers who are more tolerant to play with things a little bit, to test it out and to take a prototype. But he said, when you push it to the chemist, it's got to be right first time. So I think that's something that our team needs to think about, and we need to think about in the way we release things. It also demonstrates that one of the great things for us about this UGM is the fantastic amount of feedback we get. So that's why one of the reasons we do it. But the other thing, I think also to stress about this these presentations is just we do want to continuously remind you and so convince is not the right word, give you comfort that we are a developing company still. We've been going for 15 years, but there's no hold up in the development. Again, there was the analogy with daylight earlier on, which petered out. There's no petering out here. Our slogan for the 15 years is going and growing. So we put on, I think, 35 new people last year, maybe more. We're up to 140 people or so, which when I came in as CEO, I think we were on about 30. So there's phenomenal growth still going here. The revenue has more than compensated for that as well, so we're all fine on that side too. So there is a good continued development in the product, and I think one of the things that we try to convince you in these UGMs is that don't worry, guys, it is moving forward and it doesn't stop, and there's lots of new ideas. There's lots of issues as well. It's not all perfect, or it's not all exactly how it wants to be, and there are some bugs and there are issues here and there that we have to solve. We accept that, we take that on the chin. We try to work with you to solve those problems. Complaining is one thing, and then sorting out what the issue is and then working together to find the solution is another thing. And even our harshest critics, I would say, still like to work with us because we will find the solution with them. And people who do open their mouth and who have a voice and who tell what the problem is are much more likely to get the solution that they want at the end of the day as well. And providing that what they need helps us to solve what other people also need. We have to have a kind of consensus in the software that it suits all needs. That's going to move things forward. So problems are not problems in the sense that they are rather challenges, and we welcome that feedback. So that's good. And that's really part of the iterative nature that we work. How you come away from this meeting is entirely up to you. I hope that you have got a lot of new information. Sergio mentioned about meeting old friends and meeting new ones. I realized in my own, let's say, networking activities that I don't do too much of because I don't really like it, but let's say if I'm looking at places where I would go to meet my peers or the people that I need to meet, probably the only significant conference that I ever go to is the Bio-IT World in Boston, because a lot of people go there. But most of the people from Europe go there as well. And one of the things I realized is that there's not really very many real networking events for people in this sort of cheminformatics IT business in Europe. And I think this is becoming one of them, actually. I'm trying to encourage people to think about it in that way, because there's so many. The coffee breaks, we can't stop you guys, We have to bang plates, which is so annoying. Somebody said, that's the most annoying noise I've ever heard. But so what you take away from it is up to you, and I hope that you've all had a positive experience. I hope that it'll encourage you to come back, and not just for the swimming, but also for what you get out of the meetings, because that's the primary focus, obviously. And with that, I also have to make a kind of plug for the next round of this. So we do this all over again in a few months' time in September. 24th and 25th in San Diego. We do our user group meeting in the US once a year as well. We alternate it on the East and the West Coast to capture the markets there. So we're in sunny San Diego. We go to a wonderful hotel, and we go to the same place every year. It's on Mission Bay, Catamaran Resort Hotel. And so if you fancy catching up with us again, where we'll have a lot more about the 6.1 release, I assume, and meeting in the networking environment with more American peers, then that's a great place to go. And then, at least the last real thing is just to say a lot of thanks. Firstly, I'd like to thank everybody who's attended. We recognize that you have tight budgets and tight time schedules. So we absolutely appreciate that you've spent 2.5, maybe even 3 days with us. And we hope that in doing so you have enjoyed a little bit of the city as well. Thank you especially to the presenters, to the guest presenters, if I can say that. We really also appreciate the effort you put into that, and it's nice for us to see how the tool's used, but it's also nice to see the work that you're doing, and we really absolutely appreciate that you've done that. Thank you, obviously, to the ChemAxon presenters. You guys also, I know, have spent a lot of time preparing, and not just the people who stood up and presented, but the teams in the background as well. The UGM basically takes out about 2 sprints, I think, from the whole program. So thanks, guys, for all your hard work on that. And then the last final thanks to the UGM team itself. That's Janci, Yamasha, the people that you don't see very often, in the background, the ladies on the desk, Aggie and Emisha and Alex Allardyce, who put it all together and make it all work for us. So thanks very much, everybody, and come back next year or come to San Diego.